In a small village nestled between the soft, rolling hills of the countryside, life moved at a pace that felt almost eternal. The morning mist would settle over the fields like a delicate veil, and the villagers would emerge slowly, carrying baskets of vegetables, firewood, or freshly baked bread. Among them, tucked between a cluster of old clay houses, was a modest workshop, its wooden doors scarred by years of careful use. This was the place of Rafik, the village stone carver. Rafik was a man of quiet demeanor, with hands that bore the story of decades spent shaping stone. His skin was tanned and weathered from long hours under the sun, and his eyes, soft, patient, and observant, had a sparkle that betrayed a wisdom beyond ordinary comprehension. The villagers often watched him work in awe. Some would say he could turn any ordinary stone into a masterpiece, while others whispered that his touch brought life to the lifeless. Yet he was never one to boast, preferring the company of his stones over the chatter of the world. One particularly cool morning, as the sun began to climb and scatter its golden fingers across the village, a young boy named Aris wandered down the dusty path toward Rafik's workshop. Aris was 13, with wide, curious eyes and a restless spirit, but that morning there was a heaviness in his steps. In his small hands he clutched a cracked stone, its jagged surface reflecting the morning light like a fractured mirror. "Look at this, Rafik," Aris said, his voice low and burdened, as if speaking aloud might give the weight in his heart a form. "It's useless. I can't even make it into a proper statue." Rafik looked up from his workbench, where he was shaping a block of marble into a simple flower, and studied the boy and the stone. He set down his chisel and wiped his hands on a rough cloth. "Nothing is perfect, Aris," he said softly, his voice gentle but firm. "Even the most broken stone has a story to tell." Aris frowned, frustration and despair mingling in his young eyes. "But it's cracked," he said, lifting the stone to show its deep fissures. "It's worthless. Why would anyone want it?" Rafik motioned for him to sit. Aris hesitated, then lowered himself onto the worn wooden stool beside the workbench. Rafik's eyes, dark and reflective, seemed to peer into the very depths of Aris's heart. "Let me tell you something, boy," he said. "This stone, it is not worthless. Its cracks are not flaws. They are stories waiting to be heard. Every scar, every fissure, every uneven edge is a mark of endurance, a testament that it has survived forces that tried to break it. And it is in these cracks that true beauty often lies." Aris shifted uncomfortably. "But I've tried with this stone. I hammered it, shaped it, polished it. Nothing works. It just breaks more." Rafik smiled, a faint curl of lips that seemed almost secretive, as if he were about to reveal a hidden world. "The stone doesn't break," he said. "You simply haven't listened to it yet. Each stone has a rhythm, a shape within it that wants to emerge. Some stones are patient, they wait, some resist, and some need a gentle touch, a guiding hand. You see, Aris, perfection is not about smoothness or flawlessness. It is about understanding, patience, and finding the life within." He picked up the cracked stone, feeling its uneven surface, tracing the lines of its fractures with his calloused fingers. Sparks of dust rose into the sunbeams that filtered through the open window, and the air seemed to hum with possibility. "Sit with me," Rafik said. "Watch closely." For hours Aris watched Rafik work. The old man's chisel moved with precision but not force. Each tap seemed deliberate, measured, almost like a conversation with the stone. He did not attempt to hide the cracks. Instead, he embraced them. One fissure became the curve of a bird's wing, another a feather's delicate line. Slowly, painstakingly, a figure emerged from the jagged surface, a bird in mid-flight, wings spread wide, every crack giving depth, character, and life. Aris's eyes widened as he took in the transformation. He had expected the stone to break apart completely, but instead it had become something extraordinary. His heart, heavy with self-doubt, felt a flicker of hope. "See," Rafik said, setting down his tools. "The cracks made it unique. The flaws gave it life. You, Aris, are like this stone. Feeling worthless does not mean you are. Your struggles, your scars, they shape who you are meant to become." Aris stared, his mind racing. For the first time, he did not feel small or unimportant. "So, it's okay to be broken?" he asked hesitantly. Rafik nodded. "More than okay, it is necessary. The world does not need perfect stones, Aris. It needs stones that have stories, stones that have endured, stones that remind others that beauty can emerge from struggle." The boy's gaze drifted around the workshop. Each stone on the shelves, some chipped, some cracked, some oddly shaped, now seemed alive to him. Each one had a history, a hidden potential. For a moment, he imagined himself as one of those stones, once fractured, once doubted, now holding the possibility of becoming something meaningful. Rafik leaned back, his eyes resting on Aris with a quiet intensity. "You know," he said, "many people in the village feel broken. They carry burdens they think are too heavy, scars they wish didn't exist. Some hide them, some try to ignore them. But in truth, those scars are their strength. And just as I work with these stones, shaping them carefully, the world shapes us. Cracks we endure make our stories worth telling." Aris's fingers brushed the carved bird, its wings delicate yet resilient, the cracks celebrated rather than hidden. "I want to learn," he said, a tremor of excitement in his voice. "I want to understand, how to see the beauty in the broken." Rafik smiled, a warmth in his expression that seemed to fill the room. "Then you must listen, Aris. Listen to the stone. Listen to yourself. Work patiently. Embrace the cracks and remember, nothing is perfect, yet everything has value." The boy spent the rest of the day beside Rafik, learning to feel the stone's contours, understanding how every fracture could guide his hands. The old carver spoke in parables, sometimes silent, letting Aris discover the rhythm of creation himself. The air was thick with dust and sunlight, the gentle ringing of chisels echoing through the quiet village streets. And with each tap, each careful adjustment, Aris felt a shift within himself, a spark that whispered, "I am not worthless. I am becoming." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, Aris held the bird sculpture in his hands. It was imperfect, yet alive, and in that imperfection he found a reflection of his own journey. For the first time in months, he did not feel small or insignificant. He felt potential, possibility, and purpose. Rafik observed him quietly. "The world will not always recognize your value," he said, voice soft but unwavering. "But that does not make you less. Just as this stone became a bird through care, patience, and understanding, so too will you find your wings if you nurture your heart, embrace your scars, and keep moving forward." Aris nodded slowly, letting the words sink in. He knew the path would not always be easy. There would be setbacks, doubts, and moments when he might feel broken again. But now, for the first time, he understood that brokenness did not equal worthlessness. It was simply a part of the journey. The boy left Rafik's workshop that evening carrying the cracked stone bird, its wings catching the fading sunlight. He walked home through the quiet village, noticing the imperfections everywhere, the uneven paths, the chipped walls of houses, the gnarled branches of trees. And for the first time, he saw beauty in them all. Everything, even in its flawed state, held meaning. And somewhere deep within, he felt a courage blossoming, a quiet certainty that he, too, could become something remarkable. That night, as Aris placed the sculpture on his bedside table, he whispered to himself, "Nothing is perfect, and that's perfectly okay." And for the first time in a long while, he believed it.